First off, thank you all for being here this evening. It is my honor to acknowledge that we are meeting on the territory of the Squamish Nation. There's a few people I'd like to acknowledge within the audience tonight are elected. Of course, from the town of Gibsons, we have Mayor Bill Beamish. If you could stand, please, Bill. Thank you. Yeah. We have Councillor David Kroll, Councillor Anne-Marie de Andrade, Councillor Ilaria Ladwig, and student councillors Jason Lewis and Sasha Stipek, which is so exciting. I love that we have students on one of our councils. From the Sechelt Indian Nation Government District, Keith Julius. And from the Sunshine Coast Regional District, from Area A, Director Leonard Lee. From Area D, Roberts Creek, Andreas Ties. From Area E, Elphinstone, Donna McMahon. And from Area F, West Howe Sound, Mark Hiltz. And I understand we also have a special retired director who was with the SCRD for 16 years. He doesn't have to stand up, but I would like to acknowledge Mr. Jim Gurney in the audience, who's been with, who gave in many, many years at the regional district. So thank you. When it comes to the Sunshine Coast water supply and climate change, right now is an extremely challenging time to be the chair of the board of the SCRD, to be any director or staff member of the SCRD, or we fully realize to be any community member of the Sunshine Coast. Stage 2 of water restrictions is being announced this week at one of the earliest dates ever. The snowpack right now is comparable with what it was last year in early July. The long-range weather forecast for this summer is warmer and drier than normal, again. Tighter water restrictions are again required to ensure we have water running out of our taps in late summer and early fall. We realize how frustrating this is for our community. We're frustrated ourselves on a daily basis at every meeting by this emergency situation we're trying to deal with. We agree 100% with the expectation that in 2019, residents of the Sunshine Coast should have an adequate year-round water supply. I'm addressing you this evening to tell you that I accept responsibility. We, the Sunshine Coast Regional District Board, accept responsibility for the fact that we do not. Part of what we agreed to when we took on these roles was to embrace historic decisions, practices, and expectations of past boards as our own. You can point to us as your elected leaders with the expectation that we provide leadership and take direction from you to make important decisions with the best information we have available. We've read your letters and emails, heard your phone calls, seen your social media posts, listened to your conversations in grocery store lineups from Garden Bay to Gibsons. Whether you are thoughtful and constructive or frustrated and angry, we are not ignoring you and we are not running away from you. That is why we are initiating these public participation sessions to share information, listen to you, and collaborate on solutions together. The time for blame is over. We need to move forward and we need your help. The board is committed to putting an action plan in place that adequately supplies water to our community. We want you tonight to provide input into this plan. But by working together as a community, we also need to realize together that some of the best solutions are significant and expensive feats of engineering and negotiating and will take several years to achieve, even after we take action to put them in motion. At the same time, we need to get real about climate change. And one of the most detrimental effects of climate change to living things is to water supply. It is true that we have plenty of water for most of the year. We all know this. We have no problem yet with water supply in December or even in May. In 2013, the SCRD wrote a regional water plan that we thought would serve growth on the Sunshine Coast for many years to come, but it assumed very little change in our climate. Our climate is changing. It is changing significantly, and it is changing fast. We've noticed one of the most popular talking points about our water crisis is we live in a rainforest. But last year, we had no significant rain for 130 days in a row, and this spring is already one of the driest on record. Maybe we live in a rainforest for part of the year, but the science shows that our snowpacks will melt fast, and we won't get rainfall when we need water the most. So we need to adapt to climate change quickly. And who is going to take the lead on climate change? The current board and staff are up for this challenge, but won't be able to succeed alone. We all play a key role in achieving success for our community. Citizens of the Sunshine Coast have already responded proactively to the changing water supply situation. You have become much more water aware and invested heavily in fixing leaks, saving and utilizing rainwater and gray water, using less water for flushing toilets and showering, irrigating efficiently, xeriscaping, and finding other ways to conserve our most precious resource. Together, we have reduced our average daily use during a summer's day by 15% since 2010. However, our board recognizes that we can and must do more to support a conservation culture on the Sunshine Coast. This includes promoting or requiring new building measures to lower water usage in new developments, which is an action we've begun last month. Climate change is impacting everybody sooner and more powerfully than most of us had expected. Communities around the world are challenged by diminishing water supply, wildfires, and flooding. We've already seen an early wildfire season in BC and Alberta, and the declaration of a drought emergency in Washington state. And the severity is upon us on the Sunshine Coast, impacting our quality of life. It's only the beginning of June, but our snowpack is low, our forests are tinder dry, and there's very little rain in sight. We need to wake up to the crisis, stop pointing fingers at each other, and take another look at how we are going to manage our diminished water supply. And we cannot allow this challenge to continue to divide our community. In consideration of the past, I think one clear theme we can all agree on is that community division leads to poor decision-making. On the other hand, by working together, we can become a resilient, caring, and stronger community. So tonight, our board is inviting you to move forward with us on a new integrated approach to ensure we have an adequate water supply for the future of the Sunshine Coast. And before I end, there's a couple of groups of people that I did not acknowledge at the beginning that make all of this possible, and that's it is incredible to see the amount of staff from the Sunshine Coast Regional District who are coming here on their own time, as well as from the town of Gibsons, that are coming here on their own time to be part of the conversation and hear what's going on. And I'd like to give them a round of applause as well, because they make all of this possible. So thank you all for being here this evening, and we're looking forward to a great discussion.